Testing, testing. 1, 2.
That's good. Yeah. How's that for? Well, Aljamain, how's life been since defending your title against CJ Dillashaw on Fight Island?
Life's been great. Life's been full. I've been eating a lot. Just taking my time to smell the roses a little bit and enjoy the fruits of my labor and just getting my life in order. But yeah, other than that, short answer, life's been good.
When you say life in order, what do you mean? Is that like, because you had hinted about things you wanted to do maybe outside of the fight game after your fight too, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, all the in-between things that you need to get done in between a fight camp. When I'm in the training camp, I literally almost have time to do nothing, because I'm just so dialed in. So for me to actually have a little bit of downtime, as soon as the fight was over, I was pretty much hitting the floor running, just trying to get things in order, trying to figure out what's the next step to get everything done so that when the next training camp does come around, I can just focus on that. And I think that's what's helped me get to this point. And, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So, and it felt like as soon as you won, everyone's like, oh, the Sean O'Malley fight's next, the Henry Cejudo fight's the Marlon Vera. So if you had to match make the bantamweight division before you return in June, which matchups would you like to see? If you were Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby?
I would whoop all their asses no matter what. Honestly, I feel that's how I honestly feel. If I had a match make, I'm gonna go by who's the #1 contender. I don't believe in cutting the line. I believe in doing things the hard way, the way I had to do it. I didn't get any handouts. I had to fight through everybody in the top 5 pretty much, top 10. And there was no shortcuts to just jump the line and elevate to a title shot opportunity. Even when I had a #1 contender fight, I think you guys could remember that the UFC wasn't so keen in giving me that shot that I earned. And who knows why? I guess maybe my style. It seems to be okay when the Dagestanis do it, but it's weird when I do it. I don't know. It's like this weird disconnect I'm trying to figure out. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's because I'm not Dagestani. I just got to shape my mustache, and I think things would be okay. But if I had to pick somebody, give me the money fight. Whichever one that is, I think is personally O'Malley. And people may think, oh, you're just going to take him down and steamroll him. I think I would do that to anybody. So he can catch me the same way I can take him down and it'll be a short night for him. The same way he can catch me and it could be a short night for myself as well.
So if that's the case, would you want to see maybe Henry fight Cheeto in the meantime?
I would like to see Henry show that he's serious about this, I don't know. I can't take the guy serious. And there's nothing against him. He's accomplished so much. So I don't want to rag on him in that regards. But I do think if he actually gets back and competes against somebody to make it go okay, this guy's for real. And I do understand his what he's trying to do. He doesn't want to take a #1 contender fight because if he loses, it's just, he would rather lose in a title shot opportunity, and I think that's where he's at right now. I'm like, no one told you to retire, bro. We all knew you were gonna come back. What stupid games are you playing? So that's on you. The vision has passed you by, and what you've done 3 years ago doesn't quite hold a candle to what everyone's doing right now and competing. This game, I think, is kind of past him. And he's a smart dude. He's getting older, but that fight doesn't really move me to go, oh yeah, I can't wait. I'm not getting up out in the morning I'm fighting Henry Cejudo. I fight O'Malley, I'm like, yeah, this is a big fucking fight. I fight Cheeto Vera, I'm like, this is a dangerous and a big fucking fight. That's the way I feel about that. With Henry, it's just I'm fighting the king of cringe, whatever you want to call him. I don't know, it's just whatever.
Looking at your last fight, I don't know if you saw, but when for the Anatomy of a Fighter, they showed kind of Habib watching your fight. They didn't show what the positions or everything, but he said something about this is his position. He's the best in the world here. Speaking of your fight, I think it was when you were on top of TJ. So were you aware of that? And what do you think about when Habib, who many consider the best wrestler, one of the best, is calling you the best at certain positions?
It was cool. It's really nice to see someone of his, stature who recognizes what other people are doing. Khabib is one of the greatest on top positions with great control. He takes you down, he drowns you, and it's really hard for you to get back to your feet. So I think even him being in the back room for that little bit, he was working out with Islam, and Hasbullah came through. Shout out Hasbullah. They got to see Marab and I rolling a little bit. And I think he wasn't just watching us, but I'm pretty sure he saw glimpses and pieces of what we were doing, and then to see that happen in the fight, despite TJ's one arm, Mr. Potato Head, arm falling off. I think he knows, like, you can recognize skill and talent when someone's doing something, you know? Even the same thing, like, Islam might not have fought, like, the best guys, but he was dominating to the point where everyone was like, he is the best guy, because you can recognize what he's doing and how he's doing it, and you can kind of go, okay, there's something to this. It's not just he's beating up these lower level guys, because these are high level dudes that he's doing it to. And I think Khabib's just one of those guys who can recognize he can appreciate and see what people are doing, looking at the matchups and analyzing it from that standpoint.
And going off of that, during your fight week, people would obviously ask you like, oh, what's next, what's next, what's next? And you would say like the top 5, but you would mention Umar Nurmagomedov a few times, even though he's not even in the top 10. Is that just you recognizing his skill level and an eventual title fight down the line?
Well, the UFC asked me about him. They did like a top 15 and they gave me names. So I watch everybody. I do my own podcast and I break down all the fights every single weekend, and Umar fights, and I break him down and analyze his skill set as well. So I know he's a threat. Styles make fights, and I know if we were to compete, it would be a very competitive one. I think the difference would come down to who could be a little bit more tenacious and who gets tied first. But right now, those conversations, I'm not even entertaining it. He's got some work to do still, and I think he'll be in this conversation probably this time next year.
And two more quick ones for me. Saturday is going to be Frankie Edgar's last fight before he retires. So you being a New York native, what were some of the memories you had of Frankie coming up in this area?
Well, of course, the Gray Maynard fight. That's like the biggest one for me, honestly. And then you got the BJ Penn fight. For him to beat BJ Penn the way that he did, who was just like a juggernaut at the time, and just seemed like no one was gonna ever like defeat him, you know? And then he came through, and then they had the immediate rematch, and he beat him again, and showed like, yo, I'm Frankie Edgar, I'm the answer, I'm here to stay. So I always wished I had an opportunity to train with Frankie. I thought that would have been some magic, and I thought we would have had some great chemistry, just feeding off of feeding off of each other. But we never had that opportunity. And the same thing with Dominic Cruz, Uriah Faber. I always said if I'm not going to train with these guys, you know, that I would like to fight these legends of the sport. So fortunately, I'm happy that we never actually fought. I respect Frankie a lot, and definitely going to be dialed in for that one. And I hope he has a good send-off, you know. I just hope he can do what he was doing to Cheeto and just not get caught, and gets the job done so he could go out on the way he wants to go out.
And finally, do you have any thoughts on the main event between Israel and Alex?
That's a dangerous fight, man. I can see Izzy countering him because Pereira is preaching that he's going to bring the fight to Izzy, and if he does that, we've seen what he did to Robert Whittaker, being reckless. He could counter-strike very, very well, and that could be the difference in that fight. Pereira takes his time. It only takes one, the great equalizer, that old faithful lefty that he has. And he's been doing some great work with Glover Teixeira. But I do think Izzy's going to grapple him a bit, push him against the cage, and try to slow him down, so to speak. He's a big dude, man. That guy's massive. He stood next to Dominic Reyes, and I was really blown away at the frames because I didn't know who was the light heavyweight at that point. But I'm leaning towards Izzy, but I've been in the sport long enough to know that anything can happen. But the same way people gave me no chance to beat Jan, which is just like laughable. But yeah, it's gonna be a great fight. I think the fans are gonna be in for a good show this time because I think Pereira's gonna keep true to his word and really push the pace and bring a good fight. So I think this one might end in a knockout.
Aljo over here. Congratulations on your recent title defense. Unfortunately,